Here we're going to be taking a look at the scissor tool, and a disclaimer here that there are a lot of tutorials around on the knife tool, the eraser tool, and the scissor tool, but here I'm going to cover basically the way that I use it, just super quickly and super simply, so that we can get the hang of how you would use it for editing something like a drawing that comes out of AutoCAD in a really simple way. So we're not going to go over the ins and outs too much of it. We're really just going to go over, let's say if I have a line cutting across this box and I want it to match up actually at the edges of this box. So the first thing I'm going to do here, I'm just going to get rid of the stroke because it makes it really difficult to deal with. So here, there's a couple of options. One is that you move the object that you're working on to a different layer. So if we click new layer and shoot that up, we can then lock everything on the other layers. And then we'll basically just be dealing with this object. For something like a drawing that has a bunch of parts in it, that's not necessarily going to be feasible. So we'll look at how I would go about doing it if I was in a drawing already and I just needed to really quickly change around this one piece. So if we go here and we right click on the eraser tool, we'll see that the scissors tool, so you can see why these three are grouped in most tutorials because they're in the same command here. So if we click the scissors tool, we're just going to go and hover over it until we see intersect, and you'll see now that my highlight is blue here and then my other piece is no longer highlighted. So if I click on that, I can see that that's now made into two individual pieces, and I can just go ahead and delete that. The issue with not pre-selecting it is it doesn't actually know whether it's supposed to cut this object or this object. So what pre-selecting it will do is that will let you only, even if it's calling out the intersection, it will only actually delete that piece. So that's how I use the scissor tool. It's really useful for really quick changes. But if you're trying to do something with a whole bunch of pieces and you're trying to do a whole 10 or 15 of these trims, it can get a little bit tedious. So if you notice those things at the very outset of your drawing, I would actually go back to the native program that these drawings are in and fix them there. But if you notice something just as you're working on things and you're sort of too far into your Illustrator file to go back, you can use the scissor tool in this way to get rid of the ends of those lines.